Today on the Middle Ground, while Obamacare is driving up the cost of health care, Oklahoma Governor Mary Fallin signed into law a bill that could change what you pay for care right here in Oklahoma, plus significant reform for the state's fastest growing budget item. We'll have all this and more right here on the Middle Ground. Oklahomans need their voice in the public policy conversation. Every discussion about public policy solutions right now is Washington-centric. So the Middle Ground focuses on shifting the conversation back here to the heartland and what the people of Oklahoma think about their lives and their future. The status quo is failing. Regardless of what your beliefs are, the status quo isn't working. Well, that's a middle ground. That is the middle concept that we can all agree on. From the middle, we can come and find those solutions together that empower our people and create opportunity for all. Good morning, Oklahoma. Welcome to the Middle Ground. I'm your host, Michael Carnuccio, and I'm joined this week, as I am every week, with Trent England, host of Middle Ground Radio, which you can hear weekday mornings from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on 1640 a.m. The Eagle. Trent, it's been another exciting week in the state of Oklahoma, especially with the legislature. What have you been hearing on the radio program?
Well, that's right. I mean, a lot of people were following the texting while driving bill, which was actually strengthened and was one of a slew of bills that were sent to the governor's desk. And this is, assuming the governor signs it, everyone expects that she will. November 1st, texting while driving will be illegal in the state of Oklahoma, punishable by a $100 fine for the first offense. So that, and a lot of things working through their process as they try to get through with those things and move to the budget.
So I want to talk about a couple of the issues just outside of the budget here while we have some time, but let's go back to this texting while driving, because one of the questions that you heard and we hear all the time is, well, how do you catch someone? How do they know? So is it basically if an officer, just like a seatbelt, if they see that you're texting while driving, that's what happens, or is there another? No,
that's right. I mean, it is, if they see someone texting while they're operating a motor vehicle, that's an offense. They don't have to see you doing anything else. And that's what it means to have it be a primary offense. And yeah, I mean, as with any law, good intentions in the legislature, there are some questions. There were legislators who voted against it because they don't believe it'll be effective, and we will see come November.
Sticking with the driving theme, we've talked about Uber on this show quite a bit before, and that was another topic this past week. In fact, the city, I think, of Oklahoma City was also involved with the legislature in some discussions. What came down?
That actually was an interesting issue this week, because Thursday was the deadline for Oklahoma City's regulations on Uber and Lyft, these car services, transportation network companies. The regulations were slated to go into effect, and Oklahoma City said, look, we recognize the legislature is almost certainly going to override this, so we won't enforce them. And basically, the law is on the books technically in Oklahoma City right now. It's not being enforced. No one has gone and got a license. And everyone, well, actually, there's another bill that was sent to the governor. We'll see if the governor signs it, but to establish statewide uniform rules for these companies and overrule Oklahoma City, and basically endorse what Tulsa did.
Let's stick with the theme of bills being sent to the governor. And for our viewers at home, this is that time of year, as you're getting to about the last month of session, where this happens quite a bit, bills advancing to the governor's desk. But a couple that deal with federalism and topics of the EPA and energy and some other things that we've talked about on the show. Where are those issues right now sitting before the governor?
Well, that's right. I mean, these bills went to the governor this week, and another twist and turn, this EPA issue, Clean Power Plan. Oklahomans have been following this because there is a potential billion-dollar cost for OG&E. They're talking about 15% hikes for residential electricity customers if the EPA gets what they want, and even higher for companies, right? Think about competitiveness in manufacturing. Take a big hit if the EPA gets their way. So the legislature sent the governor a bill to put the attorney general in the position of basically doing a legal analysis of wherever this goes, to set up litigation to help Oklahoma be in a position to fight back against the Obama EPA. The governor has been a little bit resistant to that because I think she sees this as kind of elevating the attorney general's role rather than the governor's role. She issued an executive order on Tuesday saying that we're just not going to go along with the EPA. And so, some people, I mean, I see it as this bill from the legislature just complements that, but there's a question as to whether the governor's executive order is kind of calculated to allow her to veto this piece of legislation, and then we'd see if there was a veto override. And finally, federal funds transparency, that's on the governor's desk as well.
Talked about that last week
That's
with
right.
Senator Greg Treat.
It's yeah, Senator Greg Treat was the Senate sponsor. In the House, Representative Tom Newell, who's been on Middle Ground TV and radio before. This is just transparency for federal funds. Pull back the curtain. Let's see what's going on. Pretty straightforward.
Another measure that's been moving through the legislature, the Healthcare Empowerment Act. Explain for our viewers at home what this is all about and why this is a big issue this year at the legislature.
Well, healthcare is a huge issue for individuals and for government and for companies, right? Because health insurance costs are, everybody understands, those costs have been going up. The cost of healthcare in many cases has been going up, but there's not a lot of transparency in the pricing. And so the legislature did a couple things this week. One is they passed some Medicaid reform legislation, and they also passed this legislation to open up for government employees some more options in their health coverage to allow them to make choices that frankly could save the state a lot of money, and then also to protect some relationships between patients and doctors where they are essentially kind of keeping doctors on retainer. So a lot of things going on healthcare in the legislature this last week and this whole session, and frankly, a lot of potential cost savings for regular Oklahomans and for the government and therefore the taxpayers.
We're going to talk quite a bit about healthcare on the show today. Of course, it's one of the largest, or the largest item in the state budget right now, and so it definitely deserves a lot of our attention. But I got to ask before we get into the show, King v. Burwell, that's the Supreme Court case, right, that's hanging out there that could impact everything. About a minute to go here. What do you think, where do things stand? What do you expect to see happen there?
Well, the case will come down in June, and this was a big week at the Supreme Court. We had the death penalty there, and we had marriage at the Supreme Court. All these opinions are going to come out in June. The Obamacare case could get many Oklahomans off the hook when it comes to Obamacare. Then you have questions, what does the legislature do? What does Congress do? There's a big debate going on, and I think that it's still an open question what happens if that decision comes down against the Obama administration.
Fascinating. Well, it's going to be an interesting show today, folks, but we need to take a quick break. Healthcare costs for state government have been exploding. Well, what does that mean for your wallet? We're going to discuss that just ahead. Stay with us.
What is hope? You cannot see it nor hear it, and though you can't touch it, you can feel it. You feel it when your heart is full and spirit strong. You know when hope is present, and you certainly feel it when it is gone. The original meaning of hope was synonymous with trust, a promise, a confidence, even salvation. Central Oklahoma Habitat for Humanity has been providing this type of hope to our community for nearly 3 decades. And just like the homes we've built, repaired, and rebuilt, our hope gives families joy and peace, protection, strength, courage, and comfort. It gives them endurance, warmth, and confidence they so desperately needed. If you are searching for hope or wanting to provide hope for those in such a need, please contact us, Central Oklahoma Habitat for Humanity, building houses, building hope.
We have a vision of Oklahoma that in the 21st century, you and I can be living in a daily land run where freedom just seems to seep out of the ground, where free enterprise creates opportunity for everyone at all levels of society. That is the type of Oklahoma that we were founded on. That's what this state was created upon, and that's where we see our future. OCPA is founded on the philosophy that free markets, individual liberty, individual initiative, and personal responsibility are what build safe, sustainable societies. It's what empowers people. Anyone, no matter what their hopes or their dreams are, should care about the success of OCPA, because as we breed excellence, as we succeed, what we're doing is ensuring that they have every opportunity available to them at their fingertips, and that no matter how big their dream, they can achieve it, because we're going to clear that pathway for them. Joining us now in studio is Scott Vaughn, CEO of Global Health Insurance Company based in Oklahoma. Scott, thank you so much for being here today with us. Let's start right there with Global Health for our viewers. What is Global Health Company?
So Global Health is a health insurance company. We were founded by a group of doctors over 10 years ago, and our mission is to make healthcare more affordable. And we want to do that by providing better service to our members. And we're trying to create a culture within our company, empowering our employees to do what it takes to make healthcare more affordable and provide a higher level of service to our members.
So that sounds like a tall order, right? Because the cost of healthcare, the cost of health insurance has been going up. I mean, we oftentimes focus on government and government health benefits. It's become a huge cost driver in government. Why are the costs going up? I mean, what's the problem in healthcare?
Well, in healthcare, as in any industries, 10% of our membership base accounts for over 50% of our cost. So if we're going to affect the cost of healthcare, we've got to focus on the 10% that contributes to the majority of those costs. And the way we do that is by being more engaged and providing a higher level of service. Being engaged in those members' healthcare needs before the health event occurs. And a lot of what we're doing today is not focused on authorizing services or paying for services. It's figuring out what those members need before they experience the health event that contributes to an ER visit or a hospital admission or a readmission.
So you've been involved in healthcare for 2 decades, I believe, and so talk to us about your experience and what you see happening. Where's healthcare coming? Well, what do you see? What do you think's around the corner?
Sure. So I think we've got to get back to the basics. We've got to get back to focusing on the members and the patients and those who need healthcare the most. And we've got a lot of tools at our disposal today that we didn't have 10 years ago or 20 years ago. We've got data, and we can use that data now to predict nearly 70% of emergency room visits and hospital admissions. And so we're using that data now to reach out to our members in a proactive way, and we're calling them and saying, Mrs. Jones, we know you didn't fill your insulin last week, and we're here to help. We're from your insurance company, and we're here to help. What can we do to help you? And it's really interesting when you start engaging with these individuals who really need the care the most, the types of needs that they have that we can help fill.
So is that, I mean, are you working with doctors? Do you have doctors in your company who make those kind of judgments? You work with primary care. What does that look like?
We do. So as I mentioned, we're founded by physicians, and so we really believe in aligning the health insurance company with primary care physicians. And we're in the process now of building one of the largest independent primary care groups in the state. And we have clinicians on our staff that are reaching out to members proactively, and we're empowering them and trying to create a culture to do what's necessary to prevent those catastrophic health events and prevent ER admissions and hospital readmissions. And there's a lot that our staff can do, but ultimately what we've told them is figure it out. Talk to our members, talk to the patients, and figure it out.
I'd like to talk a little bit about cost transparency, price transparency, and we've had a discussion on this show before, but even just last week I was at a meeting with a group of state lawmakers, and this was the topic that came up. So why are we talking so much about this now, and what was the impact of price transparency be kind of moving forward in healthcare?
Yeah, I think healthcare is the only industry that I can think of where we don't have price transparency. And my question would be, why not? Why do providers not want to publish their prices? And what we're trying to do is help our members make the right decision. So my wife is a good example. She went to her doctor, got a referral, and needed a CAT scan. And she received a call from Global Health. Luckily, she was a Global Health member. And the person on the phone basically went through her options with her and said, if you receive the service at facility A, it's going to cost $750. If you do it at facility B, it's $250. You know, same level of service, same quality, but really helping her make a more informed decision from a price standpoint. And I think that's ultimately where we have to get.
So let me ask a follow-up there in terms of facility A, facility B. Why is that the costs are so different? Or is it just that, well, the market is changing and you got to catch up? But what is that dynamic at play there?
You know, I think historically there's been no incentive to manage costs and to focus on price. Now there's becoming more and more of a focus on it. And I think you've got a lot of these for-profit operators who have said, we want to be able to provide this service more efficiently and less expensive than anybody else. And I think there's just more of a focus on that now.
So is it the for-profit companies versus the non-profits that are actually driving the prices down?
You know, I think there is a lot of that. I think you've got these large facilities that have a lot of overhead, and they're good at a lot of really complex healthcare issues. And then you've got these smaller, more agile type, more innovative, independent operators who can do, maybe imaging, MRI, CAT scans, and who can do it very efficiently. And I think that's what we have to focus on. Who can provide the service the most efficient, the lowest cost with the highest quality?
Question you heard Trent and I discussing a little bit earlier, but the King v. Burwell and the case that's coming out, in what direction? I know that it may not have an immediate impact, but you're probably watching that case and paying attention. What do you think the impact on healthcare could be one way or another off of this decision?
Yeah, that's a good question, and there are a lot of people trying to predict that. So I think ultimately the impact will be minimal. I think the free market still has the ability to influence healthcare, and there are a lot of things that we can do to improve quality and intervene before the health events occur and drive down cost. And I think regardless of the outcome of that case, I think there's still a lot that we can do to improve the quality of healthcare.
So, I mean, talking about these government health plans, I mean, are you involved in that space at all with government employees?
So we are. We're one of the largest providers for state and education employees. And we actually, the plans that we offer are among the most affordable plans that are offered to state and education employees. And it's because of what we're doing in providing a higher level of service. We're becoming more engaged.
Let's stay there. I want to come back on this point and go a little bit deeper, but folks, we need to take a quick break. But when we return, we're going to talk about state spending on healthcare because it now exceeds spending on education as the largest budget item. We're going to discuss an urgent proposal by lawmakers to reform the Medicaid system and what that alternative is going to mean for you. We'll be right back.
A well's output is only as strong as landing the production stream. In extreme conditions, call for extreme durability. At Syntec, our engineers understand what matters. That's why we craft centralizers differently than anyone else in the industry. Laser cut from a single piece of special steel alloy and featuring an innovative heat-treated stop collar. Syntec centralizers create optimum standoff and flexibility for enhanced cementation in any conditions. It's simply smarter. No welding, no weak points. That means minimum torque, greater strength, and superior drag reduction. From lateral shale operations on land to ultra-deep water, you only have to buy it once. No fishing, no failures, no BS. Our best-in-class centralizers outperform the competition on any rig and any challenge. And we've got customizable simulations to prove it. We know that downtime isn't an option, and we take pride in providing our customers a world-class product with world-class service and support, made in the USA. Others still try to imitate it, but none can replicate it. Not even close. There's only one centralizer this strong. Syntec Centralizers, an international symbol of quality.
They didn't see that she was normal, but different. They just seen her with a disability.
The foundation of it is to provide a choice to those parents who know best for their children of what would be the best educational environment for them.
They are way behind at the start of the race. This is just helping them catch up a little bit.
They saw our children and how well they're doing, that they'd understand why this is important.
Joining us in studio is Scott Vaughn, CEO of Global Health Insurance Company. Scott, we were talking just a minute ago about state employee health care in the state of Oklahoma. Of course, the government is also involved in providing health care to the public through several programs. So let's talk about Medicaid for a minute. It's been growing for the state. It's a large budget item for the state, but House Bill 1566 just passed on its way to the governor. It's a reform that some other states, Florida's been known for this, right? A couple other states, but it helping to coordinate care between providers to improve health outcomes. Can you help our viewers understand why this was such a big issue in Oklahoma and what it means moving forward?
Yes, in Oklahoma, we now spend over $5 billion a year on the Medicaid program, and it is quickly becoming, if not the largest budget item for the state of Oklahoma. And so the coordinated care model, I watched the debate on the House floor on Tuesday, and obviously it passed, and a lot of folks supportive of it. There were a few members that were not supportive of it. And I think it's maybe because they don't understand what a coordinated care model can accomplish. The alternative is an uncoordinated care model,
right,
which is what we have today. But we have the data to be able to predict ER visits and hospital admissions, and that's where the cost is in healthcare. So we're not trying to withhold care to these individuals that need it the most. We're trying to intervene before they have that health event and prevent it.
One of the things that just makes me think of, we've obviously been following the situation in Baltimore, and one of the reports I saw earlier this week was lead poisoning among children, right? And that's a Medicaid population, and it struck me that it takes so long with the uncoordinated model that you talk about to figure out the health problems that we have in communities, especially in poor communities. I mean, does this address those kind of problems? I mean, pulling the data together and figuring out how to help at-risk communities?
It does. We have tools now that are at our disposal that we can use to help bring down the cost of healthcare for this population. And I'll just give you an example. We had a member that we reached out to that was a diabetic, had multiple chronic conditions, and we couldn't understand why she had not filled her insulin and why she missed a doctor's appointment. So we just reached out to her and said, what can we do to help? And she said, I can't, my car doesn't work, I don't have transportation, I can't get to the pharmacy, I can't get to the doctor. And our clinician on our outreach team said, we're going to figure it out, we're going to make sure you have transportation. And she arranged for transportation, got the member to the pharmacy, got her insulin filled, and prevented a catastrophic health event. A diabetic coma that would result in an ER admission costs $50,000. So by intervening, I mean, we're really able to improve the quality of these individuals' lives and reduce the healthcare services that are being provided and save the state $50,000. So it's about providing a higher level of service using the tools that we have at our disposal and improving health outcomes.
You mentioned the debate that was happening around the issue, and one of the interesting topics I heard came up was this discussion of, well, currently we're not really transitioning people off of Medicaid, we're just growing the Medicaid population, expanding that population, but now by coordinating care, this method will actually lead to potentially transitioning folks off of Medicaid eventually. How does that happen? How does that work?
Right, if we can improve health outcomes, it improves individuals' ability to work and become more self-sustaining. In the example I just gave you, this lady had been in her home unable to work because she was literally on the verge of a diabetic coma. And and she's had that problem off and on just because we're not addressing the real issue and the real need that she has, and that's making sure she has basic transportation. And sometimes it's easier to spend $30, $40 to make sure she has the transportation and avoid the $50,000 hospital admission. So it's becoming more engaged in what the needs of this population is and finding solutions, figuring it out at an individual patient member level.
Going forward on healthcare costs, inside government, outside government, for viewers watching at home, what do you see in the future? I mean, I think some people feel just resigned to healthcare costs continuing to exceed inflation. Should we be resigned to that, or is there a better future?
Well, healthcare is the fastest growing industry in the U.S. With the baby boomers now aging in and becoming Medicare eligible. It's also the industry with the highest level of inflation. And so I think what that means is it's got the greatest opportunity of any industry for change. And we can't just accept the status quo. We've got to change the industry, and we've got to come up with innovative ideas, and we've got to use all the tools that are at our disposal to be able to intervene. And I think that's the issue. Right now, when people need care, they access it and we pay for it. If we can intervene before they need that care, and we have the data that we can use, we know when people are going to access care in the next 12 months. We can predict that to a high degree of certainty. So if we can intervene, and it's the little items that we do that can make a big impact. So we just have to do that.
I got a little less than 30 seconds here. I've got to ask you from a global perspective with your company, all these changes you see in Oklahoma, the positives, does this help our state to stand out among other states?
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of things that Oklahoma is starting to do now to become a leader in healthcare, and I think there are a lot of things that we can do still. You know, we're 48th or 49th. We've got a lot of room for improvement, and I think we can do that.
Scott, thanks so much for being here with us today. Good luck with everything.
Thanks.
Folks, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Yeah, the Liberty Foundation's job is to essentially shape the debate in states, and we do that by going into the states and making sure that we talk with local groups about how to talk about the jobs issue, how to frame the debate on the jobs issue, so that way it's connecting with American citizens in a way that is pro-free market.
And we can really lead on these issues to try to marry the needs of business, who need talent if they're going to keep the jobs in America, with the needs of the individual who needs those skills if they want to elevate their ability to earn and live their version of the American dream.
So a competitive federalism and a really understanding how competition is healthy for the people in creating liberty and freedom for everyone. I think that in a macro sense is our greatest challenge going forward.
I faced numerous challenges. Me and both of my children were homeless.
Positive Tomorrows is Oklahoma's only elementary school serving homeless children, and we serve students that are in grades kindergarten through 5th grade.
We're a temporary solution to help families who are going through difficult times.
Give parents in poverty the opportunity to send their child to a different school other than their neighborhood public school by giving them a savings account that would allow them to make some choices based on what their child needs.
There's so much potential in our school, and the ESA laws would completely just allow us to tap into that potential.
And that's all we want for our kids, you know, is to know that there's something beyond this. They're not their situation.
Welcome back, folks. Trent, it's been a busy week. It's going to be another busy week next week at the legislature. We'll be talking about the budget next week on the show, but I want to talk about something coming up in about a week and a half that you're going to be part of. I understand there's a pretty big debate happening at the History Center, and you're one of the debaters.
That's right. I get to participate in this. Always fun to have a good debate on an important topic. This is the First Amendment that we're going to talk about, and particularly donor privacy. You know, you hear these accusations about dark money. And, you know, frankly, as somebody who studies history, a lot of politics has been done anonymously in the past. Not a surprising thing. And so we're gonna have a debate over whether donors should be protected, their anonymity, their identity should be protected when they give to political causes, nonprofit groups. And so yeah, I'm glad to kind of take the side, I think, of individual freedom. And if people want to keep it private, that's fine. And if not, that's fine too. Tuesday, May 12th. So May 12th, this is coming up, 11:30 at the Oklahoma History Center. People can register at ocpathink.org.
Well, folks, that's all the time we have for today on The Middle Ground. Don't forget, you can tune in to Middle Ground Radio Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on 1640 a.m. That channel is known as The Eagle. I'm going to see you next Sunday morning right here at 8:30 a.m. on The Middle Ground on Fox 25. Until then, make it a great week, Oklahoma. Work hard and have fun.